Welcome to Return on Insights, the show where candid conversations with bold founders and leaders spark actionable insights for your business. I'm David Lindover.
And I'm Erin Abitangelo. Each week, we pull back the curtain with leaders who are scaling teams and shaping the future, sharing the insights that create impact far beyond the bottom line.
Discover how high-performing companies build enduring cultures, inspire teams to think bigger, and turn vision into action. If you see storytelling as your strategic advantage, you're in the right place. Welcome to Return on Insights podcast. I'm David Lindover, your host, and today we're diving into the frontier of clean energy innovation with Virtus Solis CEO John Bucknell. John is pioneering space-based solar power to transform global energy systems as the world seeks sustainable and scalable solutions to meet our ever-rising energy demands. John's leadership in turning an ambitious satellite-powered energy vision into a commercial reality is truly groundbreaking. His expertise spans engineering, high-tech innovation, and business strategy, offering a rare insight into what it takes to lead planetary-scale technological breakthroughs. John, welcome to the show. So my first question is, how has your systems engineering background shaped your approach to leading a cutting-edge company like Virtus Solis?
Well, I would think of systems engineering the same way I think about engineering in general. The only reason engineers exist is to provide value. We can do things first time on a technical basis that others could take a very long time. So at the end of the day, systems engineering is about looking at the top level requirements, or however you define what you want to do, and driving a systematic approach to provide value all the way down. So the solution set that we've described is totally a systems engineering process where you choose what you think your deliverables are, test them with customers, and then drive those requirements all the way down to even chip level design. So at the end of the day, we're designing for value, and that drove everything that we chose to do in our product.
Good. Makes perfect sense. What are some of the key lessons you learned from building and managing teams across such varied and complex industries?
I've had now 30-some years experience across 8 different industries. I started in large corporate. You learn a lot about how large organizations operate, and especially large corporations are often optimizing around cost or throughput or efficiency metrics. And also about 15 years in startups. And startups are optimizing around delivering new value to either customers or investors or any of those things. So at the end of the day, you're choosing what you're optimizing around depending on what vertical you're in. I would say that the teams that you want in a corporate environment are, execution focused, efficient with their time. Whereas startups, you want the most innovative people possible who are passionate about what they're doing. I find that the teams I build that are most effective are the ones that I got to choose as opposed to being assigned to me. Often I am selecting for a number of qualities that are suitable for the given position. Startups, I like to have a balance of experienced people who are still passionate and young that have the energy and the ability to take direction well. So my most successful teams are relatively small, 12 to 15, at least inside of a given function, but I've managed teams as high as 200. And those are all, you're looking for operational excellence at the end of the day, depending on what your goals are. And I would say startups are more well-rounded people who have the ability to wear tens of hats if necessary, whereas large corporates, you're looking for 1 to 2 hats that they excel at.
Good insights, John. Appreciate that. Virtus Solis is targeting commercial operation by 2030. So what does it take to move from a working prototype to a massively scalable solution in space-based solar power?
Very, very challenging question. The biggest thing you need to understand is that you're looking to innovate in a few small areas, not every area. If there are solutions out there that work for you, pick them. For example, our space solar power solution is actually designed around leveraging the global manufacturing capacity for utility scale solar, as opposed to selecting for space rated solar power, which is generally solar cells that are used for existing satellites. We don't want to invent that or scale that manufacturing business. We want to leverage something that we already know exists and we don't have to worry about. So part of our down selection process was to get to a solution that allows us to leverage the largest portion of these global manufacturing supply chains. Interestingly, we started this business in Los Angeles, where traditional aerospace is, and moved it to Michigan because of the verticals that are available in Michigan around automotive manufacture, which includes a lot of electronics. Most cars have about 22 computers in them these days, engineering base, manufacturing base, and the ability to have a freshwater port to ship hardware from Detroit to Florida, where the rockets are. So at the end of the day, you're down selecting to the critical path that you can get to with the least expenditure on new things that matter.
So how do you balance the ambitious vision of providing nearly unlimited energy with the operational discipline that's needed to execute on tight timelines?
I would argue that both of those are vision driven. Execution is just understanding what's important, right? I mean, to some degree, leadership is keeping everyone moving in the same direction, right? It's you have a lot of talented people, they have their own interests and passions, but keeping them aligned is the biggest part of leadership in an organization like that. So once you sell the vision and get everyone aligned on what that vision is, you can just tweak which direction they're going, and they will execute to get to the end goal.
Can you share how you navigate investor skepticism, especially given the mixed history of space solar power and NASA's past assessments?
Yeah, that's a long story. As you might know in the conversations we've had prior, this idea is over 100 years old. So there's a lot of history there. And comparing what history has taught us in the 50 to 70 year time frame to what the recent past has taught us, and balancing those are the biggest challenges. I would say that the NASA report that came out in February of 2024 was not looking at what current capabilities are and made decisions around what historically had been true. So to quantify the kinds of skepticism we have, you have people who don't think for themselves and listen to others' reports, and then you have people who are critical thinkers and are able to listen to your arguments around why your solution is different, why your approach is different, and how you've solved these underlying problems. So you have to believe in yourself and your team, and then execute on that vision. Obviously, you have to be able to have that critical thinking. As most of my team are engineers, they generally have that, and they can look at solution sets and say, hey, look, is this for real, or is this something that's completely fabricated? So you can get to the execution on, here's the ideas, they're provable to be true, and we take the least number of risks possible. Obviously, there's no such thing as no risk, but at the end of the day, if investors are skeptical, execution is the best answer to that.
So, and that's a very insightful answer. I appreciate that. In your leadership experience, what are the key strategies you've learned and deployed for aligning technology, talent, and mission to drive lasting impact in a high-tech startup?
I would say the biggest thing is know what you want. I personally interview every single person that works for me, from interns all the way up to C-suites, and I make as much time as necessary to get to know them. One of the fun questions I like to ask during a 30-minute interview is, what do you want to do when you grow up, regardless of where these people are in their careers? And often that gives you insight into what type of person they are. You can use other KPIs that might be asked. I will tell you that I was age 40 when I interviewed at SpaceX, and Elon asked me what my undergraduate grades were. And I'm like, I don't know that that's super relevant, but at the time, the average age of the business was about 28 at SpaceX, and I was very much nearly the oldest person there. I'm 6 months older than Elon. So you got to keep in mind what is important for the people you're hiring. So that's the talent portion. We've already talked about how the mix of experience and energy is great. And then obviously you want to pick a mission. You want to pick something that you're passionate about, and you can communicate that passion to your team. So the strategy is not to pick something boring, for sure, right? If you want to invest your life and not a small fraction of it into something, you have to make sure that you're aligned and everyone's aligned on executing that.
Right. Can you describe a pivotal moment when you helped your team pivot from idea to execution under pressure? How did that define your leadership style?
I'll answer the second part first. I would argue that the best kind of leader is the one that leads from the front. I mean, you read Sun Tzu and others around how to execute conflict plans, and the reality is the leader needs to be able to do whatever is necessary to get the job done and help alignment. We've done a number of super critical pivots around a number of topics, but for example, we built the world's highest power, most efficiency, longest distance end-to-end wireless power transfer system ever about 2.5 years ago. And that solution was very complicated. A lot of elements that we thought would work didn't work. And some of it was just constraints on manpower against the timeline that we had to deliver on. I lived in the lab when it was necessary. There are parts that I knew I was not necessarily the right skill set, but I was capable of doing it to allow my team to concentrate on the things that they needed to do that I couldn't. For example, I built all the wiring harnesses for that solution, and I'm not the greatest wiring person, but I can do it, and I can allow my team to concentrate on the things that are important. So, at the end of the day, concentrate on what's important and invest your effort in the things that get you closer to the end goal.
Really good advice. I appreciate all your thoughts and your thought leadership that you've shared with our audience today. And I wish you the best of luck in your very ambitious goals and hope to have the opportunity to speak to you in the future. Thanks, John.